This car only has 3 options. You want to know what they are? The Pontiac Firebird was in its 3rd year of production for 1969, and it got a little bit of a facelift. The nose got a little bit longer, the rear quarter sections became a little bit wider, but it was still recognizable as the Pontiac Firebird. But one new innovation for 69 was the introduction of the Trans Am model. Pontiac made 697 69 Trans Ams, but few are restored to this level. Now, the Trans Am model was named after the SCCA racing series called Trans Am, and Pontiac actually had to pay a license fee to the Sports Car Club of America to use the name Trans Am, and I think it was a whopping $5 per car sold. It's widely known that most of these were coupe hardtops. There were 8 convertibles made, and today all 8 of those are accounted for. But of those coupes, 520 of them came with the 4-speed manual transmission, as seen in our version here today. Pontiac was always known as GM's performance division, but most Pontiacs were not very flashy cars. As we look across the history of Pontiac performance, we saw stylish cars, but we didn't really see cars that had a lot of wings or stick-on body things or colors that were really in your face. But this 1969 Trans Am was only available in cameo white with the Tyrol blue stripes that went over the nose, over the roof, and down the deck lid. And on the deck lid we see a 2-pedestal rear spoiler. Now, I believe Pontiac only did one other spoiler on a car. The 68 GTO had a deck lid spoiler, so this was still kind of new territory to see a spoiler on a Pontiac. And stripes going over the top of a car was also not found on other Pontiacs. The GTOs had some stripes over the wheel wells and some things on the sides, but to see a bold color combination with stripes going completely over the car and a rear wing like this was very unusual for Pontiac, and it told you that they were out to get some attention with the Pontiac Trans Am. You'll also notice that these cars have a fender-mounted side extractor, which was designed to take heat out from under the hood, and it was designed to look racy. Even the design process of the Trans Am was a little unusual for GM because they went outside of their studios to get some design help. They contacted Gene Winfield, who's a noted custom car builder, to add his take on what he thought the Trans Am should look like. And he's the guy that came up with that long dual snorkel hood with the 2 openings all the way at the front of the nose. He also came up with the side extractors and that rear wing. The prototype car that Winfield did was done in palladium silver to get the shape kind of figured out, but of course the production ones were all the white and blue. Another thing I find interesting about the 1969 Trans Am is that the stripes are called Tyrol blue, and they're a metallic color, and it's very unusual to find a metallic colored stripe on a muscle car. We see a lot of cars that have white stripes or a black solid stripe, maybe a solid color stripe or a satin black stripe, but I'm not sure there's very many other cars that have a full metallic colored stripe, and it looks very striking when laid over the cameo white body color. Of course, it would be kind of silly to have a race-themed car without a high-performance drivetrain, so the Pontiac Trans Am came with a 400 cubic inch Ram Air 3 V8, and this was kind of a revised version of the 400 HO that you could get in previous years. It made 345 horsepower at 5,000 RPM and 430 foot-pounds of torque at just 3,400 RPM. It made 10.7 to 1 compression, and when you couple all that stuff together, especially with the 4-speed car, you have a very potent V8 that had some free breathing capabilities thanks to a big carburetor, an intake manifold, good flowing cylinder heads, and header-like exhaust manifolds in a car that wasn't as big as a GTO, but still made a bunch of torque. So this thing was a lot of fun to drive, and it easily burned the rubber on those 14 by 7 inch wheels. I'm always interested in the backstory of these cars. I mean, a 69 Trans Am like this could have been street raced and totaled within the first 6 months of purchase. But we learned that this car had the same owner for like 36 years, and they obviously took care of it. The Pontiac Trans Am was designed to be a driver's car since day one. And when you enter the cockpit, you can see that it's got a very comfortable set of bucket seats and full instrumentation to keep the driver up to speed with what was going on under the hood. And these cars have a very comfortable steering wheel and shifter. The Trans Am used the standard GM F-body construction, which meant it had a unit body with a removable front subframe. The rear suspension has leaf springs. Our car has a 390 positraction rear axle, but the Trans Am had a stiffer spring rate all the way around, more performance valve shock absorbers, and an oversized front sway bar so that it handled the curves as well as handling straight line performance. Now, one might think that the 8 69 Trans Am convertibles would have been the rarest version of these cars, but there's some notes that suggest there were some one-of-one cars built. For example, imagine a white and blue 69 Trans Am with a red interior. One of those was supposed to exist. How about a green interior? Not sure it would look good, but certainly one of the rarest of all. And one of these cars escaped the factory with wire wheel hubcaps instead of the black steel wheels. Again, makes for a rare car, but not something I would have chosen. This is one of those restorations that the longer you stare at it, the more cool little details you find. Now, speaking of cool little details, have you downloaded our app yet? We've got a Muscle Car of the Week app that plays the videos from the show right on your phone. You can get it in the Google Android store or at iTunes, or on our website at MuscleCarOfTheWeek.com. We have more cool videos coming, so subscribe to this channel and you'll never miss one. So we'll see you next time on Muscle Car of the Week. I'll be under here.